Semi-final number 2, and the rugby gods have smiled upon us again. The game that keeps on giving. The two opposition that just love facing each other in the World Cup. The Springboks, my heritage, and the British, the English, the England, the Rose, the Mike Prov's heritage, England. South Africa versus England. Oh man, are you excited?
Mate, I am. I'm definitely excited. Have I been excited more in the past? Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of talk in the media about England's sort of like unbeaten record, but also the easy side of the draw.
Yeah.
This week it's just steps up a whole new level. You know what I mean? Like England would have, I reckon, been watching everything, obviously, but going, holy, like we've got an easy draw here.
Yeah.
But now this is where we step it up. It's going to be tough, man.
I love that they're the only unbeaten side. That's great. I love that there was all the speculation beforehand. Like people wanted to cut Borthwick's head off. And now look at him, he's in the semis. You also did say they're probably going to do all right this World Cup. They've had a shit.
They always do. They always do, mate. I think I forget what I said, maybe quarters or semis, but like I said, I actually think, it's great having the easy side of the draw and being unbeaten, but now we're getting to the real nitty gritty of the competition. It's like, there've been a few close games as well, especially against Fiji. If you compare Fiji to South Africa on form and how they've been playing, worlds apart in my eyes. So, England are capable of doing it. But will they be up for it, or will they be? I mean, they'll be up for it. Sorry, don't get me wrong. But are they going to be able to keep up with South Africa? I don't know, mate. I do hope so.
I hope so too. It's going to be. I know it's going to be a cracker. I do want to run quickly through some history in the World Cups with these two sides together. So South Africa has met the English 4 times. Okay, so 2 being in World Cup finals where South Africa are 2-0. English beat us in 2003. And then the 4th time being in the 2007 World Cup where we're in the same pool, where I think it was like 36-0 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's 3-1 is the history in that. And again, I've been saying it all the time, like history means nothing. It's on the day is the biggest thing, but I mean, it's nice to look at a bit of these stats.
I love looking back at stats. But I can't ignore what I've been watching either. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, look, it's a new game. History aside, it's a semi-final of a World Cup. It doesn't matter. To me, history doesn't matter. It's great to know that stuff, but both teams are going to be like, this is it. This is it. You know what I mean? So it's going to be look, again, like I've said in previous episodes, Matt, I just hope for a really good game. Like, yes, obviously I want England to win, but if we can have, a game like we've been seeing a few of these recently, like it just makes for a great spectacle for international rugby. I saw earlier, there was 8 million people in the UK tune into their quarterfinal, and there was 16 million French people tune in for their quarterfinal, which is record numbers, even in England as well. So it just goes to show not only the standard rugby, but the show that they've put on as well. And it's just been a huge spectacle, and it's getting bigger and bigger each year. It's been unbelievable.
Absolutely. I said this year will be big, massive, just because of social media landscape as well, like everything from all angles. So it's great. And that's awesome for rugby. So Springboks have come off a fucking belter of a game. There'll be some sore bodies. In saying that, they've listed an unchanged team, which is what you want going into this back end of the World Cup. You want that continuity. You don't want injuries. You want a coaching staff looking at your team being like, well, we won with this side. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to force changes. Yeah, that's good, man. There'll be some sore bodies. I loved how Marnie Lebok, like, yes, there was a lot of chat around him and Handré Pollard coming in, and everyone's like, oh, Handré Pollard. I even said Handré Pollard should start, but I thought Lebok played well. And when Handré Pollard came on, he played well as well. His little role there. That was great.
That's a real interesting one for me. Like, I've been watching Lebok closely. I personally feel, I reckon Pollard's kicking game is far superior personally. Although Lebok, his kicking out of hand as well has been quality. I think the one thing that I feel like Lebok deserves that starting 10 jersey, and this is why. I feel like he is the catalyst of the flowing rugby that South Africa are playing. Yes, he's a 10. That might be stating the obvious, but he just does things that make the backline just flow so beautifully. And if you look at some of their tries or some of their moves that they've been doing when they've been making meters, the initial point of that move, Lebock just nailed it every single time. So, you know, look, Pollard coming off the bench, mate. Like, who else would you want to come off the bench? Experience, goal kicker, you know, could come down to a kick. My next point, which I'll explain in a minute about the kicking, but you know, Lebock, if it doesn't go to plan, you've got Pollard coming on. But I feel like Lebock deserves that starting jersey through how he's been playing. I think it's a credit to him.
I do after this previous game, after the French game. Before that, I was like, no, start Pollard. But how he executed the game plan as well. The game plan was putting them under pressure with up and unders. They even had Peter Steph Dutoy and like Sia Khaleesi, Ibn Etzebeth hanging out on the 15s, kicking those up and unders, and Lebock put them on a dime each time. And we scored twice.
He's great.
Them. So it really worked well. And I think they'll go with something similar, which is why I also think Marcus Smith might be dropped. And they'll put Freddie Stewart in there because we know he's not dropping balls.
It would be silly, I think, to keep Marcus Smith there. It's not really his preferred position. Yes, he can play there. Yes, he's elusive, but you know, we've touched on it prior. Freddie Stewart under the high ball is a pretty certain thing. So with the kicking game of those South Africans and Stewart at the fullback, you know, if he starts taking the first 2 or 3 kicks up and unders, it might change South Africa's game plan. So I think Stewart coming back in, I've just read that he probably will be. I think that'll be a big inclusion for England, definitely, especially with, like I said, the kicking game of South Africa.
Just a point, guys. We're recording this before the England have announced their team, so it's a little bit of speculation. Everyone else has announced their team. I do think the centers going at each other will be a lovely matchup. Both center pairings have been in good form. Jesse Creel's coming off some excellent form, man. His game weekend. I think he's someone I've highlighted to be one of the key players in this game because how he's setting up South Africa's defense. We all know 13 is like kind of runs everyone's defense, but how Jesse Creel just knows when to shoot out of the line, knows when to hang back, makes his tackles, his effort. They talk about efforts, like getting second efforts, getting up off the ground, going again. Next level, man.
He's a warrior, man. I actually had a few things written down. I just put warrior next to his name because you watch him again. The experience plays a lot in these sort of arenas, especially of how much sort of young talent's coming through as well. But sometimes I feel like that young talent can overshadow the experience because you sort of lose your edge when you're getting older. But Jesse Creel's just proven that like age is nothing. Like you can just keep doing your thing. And like you said, mate, he's solid, man. He's a true warrior. He really is a warrior.
Absolutely. Then one question I want to ask you, and then you can go on to your key players for England. Can England, when it gets down to the 60-minute or 50-minute mark, or even earlier, we've seen when Springboks start making their subs and what a massive impact South Africa's bench. They've gone for the 5-3 split again. But when you put in Kwagga Smith on, Dion Fourie, those guys that are like born over the ball, then Oxenchair and Vincent Koch to come and set that scrum again. Like these guys are making such an impact when they come on. That's where I think the game is going to be won for the Springboks, is when they make these changes.
It's a formidable thing to look at and think about, to be honest. You look at the experience, you know, I go on a lot about experience. I truly feel in a semi-final of a World Cup, experience is key, mixed with that youth. But I just think my main points on England were they just need to aim up. They need to cut down time through not just a 10, not just a 9, or put pressure on the 9. Across the whole 15, England need to put pressure on this team and stuff them up because South Africa get the go forward, especially that pack, the players coming off the bench. I mean, you look at England, they've got the likes of people like Joe Marler, experience again, coming off the bench. Getting old, but again, like he might be able to come on and sort of like steady that up. But I feel like England, the only way England can rattle this team is by catching them off guard. I don't know what that is currently, but they just get the roll on. You know, you look at Etzebeth as well, just a freak, man. Like he is to me, right? Even his yellow card, like he went over, apologized, ran off, came back, but when he came back on, he was so flipping dominant once again. I heard earlier today that they reckon he'll be the most capped Springbok, first to get to 150. He's 31, I think. He's still got probably a few years left in front of him. He is someone that you need to get to, whether mentally, I'm not sure. But if England don't stop this team early, mate, and the Boks get a roll on, it could be it could be a nightmare, but I feel like England will be okay. I really do. For the first 60 minutes, like you said, will England be able to cope after 60 minutes? I don't really have an answer for that. I really don't, because of who you've got coming off the bench.
I mean, that was the same with the French game. The French came out and dominated Springboks in the first like 10 minutes with the forwards. And I was like, okay, like good, but can they keep it up? And man, Springboks just can find that next gear. And when those those bench players come on, RG Sneyman's another one, just massive, strong.
It's intimidating. I think that's a word, mate. Intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an English player and you're out on your feet in the 60th minute and you see the likes of these players coming on, you're shitting yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're like, holy, like this is coming at us again.
Yeah. So if you could pick, so I'll pick two. So for me, Creel and Khaleesi, my key players for the Springboks. Obviously, Khaleesi, leader, has been there and done it before. Yes, he's only been playing his 50 or 60 minutes, but man, does he go out there and do some work. And I think just from what he did, all the little dirty, the donkey work that guys don't really see, and like kind of commentators and content creators as well don't really pick out and be like, but the nerdy rugby players can see what Khaleesi does for that team. And then Creel again, just because of his ability to kind of shape their defense, South Africa's defense. And yes, England might not have been throwing much on attack, but you still have to defend, man. And Creel is leading that at the moment.
Yeah, that's a fair point. My two players, mate, this really was a tough one, but I'm going to go with one that might be a little bit controversial, Ben Earl. And the reason I say Ben Earl is we've talked about him previously, his celebrations and stuff. If there's ever a time to celebrate and get underneath the skin of an opposition team, this is the flipping week to do it. So Ben Earl, if you're listening to this podcast, mate, keep doing your thing. Because like I said, it can come across arrogant at times. And I think against, you know, it was a little bit much at the start. I apologize for the sirens in the background. But I think his work effort, like his carries, his meters, his hype as well is just going to be, we need it now. Like we need it now. We've probably not needed it in the past, but we really need it. We really need it this weekend. And I think he'll deliver. There was a few players, I couldn't really pick out two. I have, but there's a few on the bench I wanted to touch on because I think the impact off the bench is going to be huge this weekend, more so than other games. But obviously Owen Farrell, I'm not going to include Owen Farrell. Owen has to perform, but I think Mario Itoje as well. I think he really does lead from the front. He's one of the most capped there now. And I think he can, again, if you're getting under the skin of the Springboks, I think Mario Itoje can do that along with Ben Earl. I think those two in particular, I know I've picked out two forwards there, but I think it's going to be forward dominated. And to be honest with you, I said Owen Farrell needs to be on his game. I think this is my prediction. You might want to do this at the end, but I just think it's going to be the battle of the kickers. I really do. I don't think, if you ask me right now, I don't think there's going to be many tries in this game. When I say that, I think of Lebok and I think of Pollard. And if Lebok's not on early and it is a really tight, hustly game and it is being decided by 3 points, it could stuff South Africa up. So, yeah, Ben Earl and Mario Itoje, I think, just need to be on their game this weekend. And I think they could come close to matching the Boks up front for a period of time. I'm not saying for 80 minutes. I'm saying for a period of time.
They do have they've got an engine on them to do it. So yeah, that's good. Yeah. They're strong players to pick out there.
Yeah.
I do want a prediction though. So hit me with your prediction.
Oh, look, what my gut's telling me or what I should be saying is two different things. Okay, I'm gonna go. Obviously, I've got to go England. Shit, man. I'm gonna go England.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go England. I'm going to go 22-15, and I reckon there's gonna be kicks galore. Yeah. That's a tough prediction, man. It wasn't in me to say anything different. I'm sorry. Yep. Although some part of me was saying it could. Look, regardless of the result, 22-15, 22-16, around that. But I just want it to be a great game. And come on, England, man, please. After the heartache of the World Cup final last time, please, boys, let's go.
Well, I'm going to go Boks by 12, and I'm going to say 30-18. I do think there is going to be tries. I think the way Springboks have been playing these past few games, there's going to be tries. They want to score tries, and I think they're going to pressurize them like that. There might even be some chances where they go to touch instead of going for poles, and I won't be surprised about that.
I'll
And
tell you.
just so everyone knows, and I know the South African cricket team just lost to Netherlands, but we've got the
Big up
opportunity to go
Netherlands.
double. So South Africa is playing, the Springboks are playing England, and then South Africa cricket is playing England cricket this weekend as well. So
okay,
let's see how we go, man.
I'm gonna predict something else here as well. I predict there's going to be an early red card in this game.
Ooh.
And then the reason I say that also is because you look at the history of South Africa and England. I go back to, I'm talking 2000, 2001, where South Africa played England at Twickenham. And ever since that game, I can remember there were bandages on English players' heads all over the park. It was Wilkinson, Richard Hill, Neil back in those days. It's always been a brutal affair. I think the occasion could get the better of some people this weekend. Again, youth in the team as well. So I'm predicting a red card first 20 minutes, and that could sway the game. And I'm hoping the red card is to Khaleesi for England's sake. Oh gosh, I'm literally clutching at straws, mate. I really am.
He's scraping the barrel here. All right, guys. Well, leave your comments. Let us know what you think of the game and who's going to meet the Springboks in the final, because we know that's the way it's going. Hopefully, I don't.
And guys, sorry about the 1940s vision on my side today. Dane's stolen my pixels. He's got the HD vision, and I've just got the black and white TV vision. So.
But let us know in the comments what you think of this game, or what's going to happen in this game, and who you think is going to be in the final, guys. And we'll see you next time. All right, Mike. Thanks, Mike. See you, boys. Bye.
See you, mate.